Coffee's here.
Shout out Cremota Coffee. This Tahitian vanilla, so good. Cremota cinnamon, all out of that. Tahitian vanilla, the best flavor.
I tried Cremota like maybe a few months ago. I bought the variety pack for the first time. They're some of my favorite creators and I just wanted to support them, and I love coffee, so I tried it. This Tahitian vanilla flavor is the best coffee I've ever had. You guys have to try it. I think they sell bags of like regular coffee beans, also these K-cups. I'm telling you guys, you gotta try it. If you have a favorite coffee, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear it because I'd love to try some more. But now, let's go get into today's video. So let's talk about 3 mistakes to avoid when booking a client. Mistake number 1, under communicating. And believe me, this is more for you than it is for your client. The last thing you want to do is under communicate on a project. The details of a project, the location, the time, all of that matters, yes, but I'm actually more specifically talking about the expectations and the deliverables of a project. You can imagine the horror stories that we've seen or heard of people who sometimes get all the way done with a project, deliver it to the client, and then revisions and feedback, and it's brutal and it's nothing close to what they wanted or what they may have talked about. We want to avoid that if at all possible, and it can be done by just communicating really well. You never want to go into a shoot assuming you know exactly what your client is looking for, because based on what they want or their creative direction, that could determine how or what you shoot, or sometimes both of those things, when you're actually on location. And believe me, if you're there and you shoot it and you're all done and you figure out you just kind of missed the creative direction, you missed the shots they wanted, you missed the content, there's no going back. You can't fix that in post. You're gonna have to do a reshoot. So again, we want to avoid that if possible, and we can by just communicating. So that means from the creative direction of the overall project all the way down to what you're actually delivering at the end, how many pieces of content, the length of those pieces, what they're going to be used for, everything in between, everything on that spectrum needs to be talked about. A lot of times I think we get afraid of asking too many questions, or we just want to seem like we know exactly what we're doing, and so they tell us a little bit about the project and we're just like, okay, great, yep, we'll shoot it, well, it'll be great. And that's awesome to have confidence in your skills, but you're leaving so many questions out there on the table that could come back to haunt you. So it's always, always, always better to over communicate, ask questions, ask the dumb questions you may think are assumed, but you never actually know. What I found with a lot of clients is sometimes they don't even know the details of what they need to tell you. And so asking them those questions about the project and about the details, a lot of times they'll be like, oh yeah, I did want this, or I do prefer this, or don't use that. That's a good no. Ask for what they definitely do want and what they definitely don't want. Once they give you some back and forth on that and you've had a conversation, even if they aren't sure, even if they don't want creative direction, at least now you've had the conversation and you know, okay, peace of mind, I have the freedom to go and create on this project and use my creativity in this set of boundaries or this set of boundaries, you know what I mean? So there's a million different things I could say about this topic, or different directions I could go with this, but do yourself a favor, do not under communicate with your client. Oh my word. How about that, baby? I got this cold and I haven't had coffee in days, so I'm so excited this finally came in. And oh, just stick with me. Please stick with me. This is brutal. So let's get into the second tip to avoid when booking a client, and that is being unorganized. Take it from me, someone who struggles with organization. Even the smallest organizational tasks can help your production tremendously. Now, there's two things you should absolutely be working with, if nothing else, and that is some sort of calendar that you keep updated and that you use, and then some sort of client management system, whether that's like a paid software, or if you struggle for budget, there's plenty of free options. Hit me up in the comments, DM me on Twitter, Instagram. I would love to share with you my process and different softwares I use. Some I pay for, some I don't. And there's plenty of resources out there, but at the very least, you should be using a calendar and you should be using a client management system. Now, let me tell you why. Having those two things set up and in use, that's the key, not just having them, but using them, helps you avoid two of the biggest stressors in our industry, which is double booking or missing a shoot or realizing you don't have time for something. Okay, calendar, important. And then also knowing who and what and when you're shooting at all times, client management system. Organization stresses me out. I am so jealous of the people who have no issues with organization and they just pop, they got all their pens lined up and everything, and they're so good at it, and that's such a valuable task to have. But I promise, even if you don't have it, it's such a valuable skill, not a task. 1 second, I gotta just shut these notifications off, otherwise you keep on dinging. There we go. What was I saying again? Even if you don't have the skill of organization, again, just a couple things that you are disciplined in doing will improve your workflow a ton and help you serve your clients better. Trust me, the last thing you want is to be forgetting project details, asking your client to repeat your whole entire client meeting because you weren't paying attention and you didn't take notes and now you can't remember, or double booking something and having to cancel something last minute. The more organized you are behind closed doors, the more professional and smooth your process is going to look and come across to all your clients you interact with. If you stick around to the end of this video, there's a fourth bonus tip for you guys, so stick around and watch to the end. The third mistake to avoid when booking a client is underpricing. Now, if you go to any YouTube channel, ask any freelancer, take any course, you're going to find the same exact theme, and that is pricing your freelance work is the hardest thing to do in our industry. And that is because there's not one right answer. There are certainly principles and strategies that will help you determine what that magic number might be, but trust me, at some point in your pricing, I just spit. Did you see that? That was gross. COVID alert. At some point in your pricing, you will be faced with the question, what are my time and skills worth to me? Leave me a comment, DM me on Instagram or on Twitter, and I would be happy to be as transparent as possible, sending you how I price things and just my different strategies based on project and what I do. I'm here to help you guys. I'm here to serve you guys. So please hit me up if you're looking for that information. In this video, we won't necessarily go into the details of how to price. That's a whole separate video, but it is a mistake to avoid when you book a client because underpricing is so common in our industry. A good starting point for anyone when setting prices is to find a value that works for an hourly rate for you, or a half day or a full day rate, anything like that, and then stick to it for a year. My pricing when I first started this versus my pricing now, way different. So always come back and reevaluate after about a year or so and say, okay, number one, is the number I set actually beneficial to me? Am I actually able to make money off this? Number two, does it actually match my skill set? And if my skill set has grown, you should probably think about upping your prices. Your gear, your experience, everything like that should help lead you to this number. So don't be afraid to reevaluate, change pricing, try and keep up with your skill set, the work you put in, your education, the gear you upgrade with. Try to keep up with all of that so that you can make sure your pricing is reflecting all of that. For some reason, there's like this stigma in our industry where we just feel like, oh, we're we must be charging too much for this. Or something that I do a lot is not charging for all of the work that you put in. Now, what I mean by that is the hours of pre-production that you put in preparing for a shoot, the packing gear, the loading the car, the driving to the shoot, etc., etc., etc. All that stuff is and should be billable. We get this feeling oftentimes, or maybe it's just me, but I don't feel like it is. We get this feeling that we're trying to pull a fast one on clients, or we're charging for every little thing that we do just to get more and more money so that we can actually make a living. But that is the point, and those are all things that are involved in the work that we do. The shoot doesn't get done if you don't pack your gear. If you're not charging batteries, if you're not doing pre-production, like that is part of the work. That's not just free time you get to donate to people and you don't have to charge for it, So understand, like, the whole scope of what you do. It's not as easy to see because you're not checking in and out of an office, and so when I say don't underprice your skills, I do mean that, but I also mean don't undercharge for the amount of work that you're doing. The truth is, most people, most clients have no idea the full cost and the amount of work that goes into video creation or photos or whatever you work in the creative industry. Most people are completely out of touch with exactly what it takes. And that's not to say we're like high and mighty, we're working so hard, blah, blah, blah. We're not better than anyone. I'm just saying they don't have a clear picture unless you're in it. And so that's okay. That just means it's our job to educate them and give them the knowledge to understand there is a lot of work that gets put into this. There is a lot of money, there is a lot of time behind the scenes that the client will never, ever, ever see in order to get their end product delivered to them. So it's up to us to appropriately set the precedent and give them that knowledge, not to succumb to their idea of, well, that seems like a lot of money. Yeah, it can be a lot of money because it's a lot of work and it's a lot of time. Do not underprice yourself. Woo! You guys made it to the fourth bonus mistake to avoid. Bonus mistake, that sounds funny. Here's an extra mistake. Now, if you've listened to the first 3 mistakes to avoid and you've set yourself up for success there, chances are you've also set yourself up for success in avoiding this fourth bonus mistake, which is under delivering. Now, you've probably heard it said before, under promise, over deliver. That is like the golden ticket in the creative industry. That's not to say you want to dog on your skills. You still have to sell yourself. You still have to get the job. But once you've got the job, under promising, not in the sense of like, oh, I'm just going to do the bare minimum, but setting a realistic expectation and then actually serving them well and serving them beyond their expectations and outside of video and photo, and delivering them a piece of content, putting in the extra work that maybe you're not getting paid for. All of those things go into over delivering, which is exactly what you want to do. Over deliver in the way you communicate with your client. Over deliver in the way you shoot and produce your project. Over deliver in the way you serve your client, and over deliver even in the way that you hand off the final project. That's the fourth bonus tip. Do not, under any circumstances, under deliver. Set expectations correctly. At the very least, hit those expectations, and when possible, over deliver on your promises, and you'll be good to go. Hey, thanks for supporting the channel and watching this video. This is super nice of you. Don't forget to leave a comment. It could be questions about what we talked about, how I do things, how you think I'm doing, your experiences, anything. Leave a comment. I'd love to interact with you. Give it a thumbs up if you liked this video. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos. Hit the little notification bell so that you are notified every time I post a video, and then you for sure won't miss it. And that's it for me. See you guys. Let's get into today's video. Okay. What's going on? You want to avoid that. Oh my word. Excuse me. So let's get into the second mistake to avoid, and that is So let's get into the second mistake to avoid when booking a client, And that, why can't I remember it? It's sitting right here.